Blue Wheel of Thinking. Let's go, Chrome. Oh, we're live. Boom. All right. We're going to let it heat up here. You guys, it feels like it should be Friday night with a level of excitement. And look at us looking so sharp this evening. We weren't kidding around. But we're going to allow just a minute here to make sure that we're able to reach out to the Facebooks, the YouTubes, the Twitches, and the Twitters. And I am so excited. Yes. And I got to say that we are setting the stage tonight, and I am really excited to talk about that too. But with 30 seconds on the clock, I suppose we better drop the introduction video, and then we're going to get to the good stuff. All right, here we go. Introduction right now. Introduction always gets me rocking and rolling. Comics by Night is in the building, and you guys, this is a super exciting evening that we're having. Shout out to the Sioux Falls Curious Music Collective who's hanging out with me this evening. I'm so excited to hang out with you guys. Yes. Well, I have been looking forward to this visit for so long. First of all, you guys, Comics by Night, we're proudly sponsored by Rainbow Comics, and we talk about scary comics, but we also talk about scary anything. And the cool thing about this genre is that there are so many delightful notes out there. Get it? Notes? All right. But tonight I am joined by two awesome guests here. So we have a special guest in the building. Okay, I'm going to mispronounce it. No.
Yichun.
Yep. Yichun is in the building. Thank you so much. We had a chance to connect on Facebook. You had lifted up this amazing event that we're going to get into tonight. And I am so excited to talk about that and to talk about this group. And Lawrence is joining us, who's also a part of the team. This is, you guys, you have no idea. We have a violin or viola?
Violin, but I do play the viola too.
Boom. Yeah. We have a violin.
Viola's a little bigger.
Yeah. Sure. Got you.
Yeah.
But you guys, we have music on deck. We have a story tonight, and we're going to learn a lot about this amazing group of talented people that have taken the time to craft a Halloween program. This is fantastic. So without further ado, how are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I have to say we're looking so dapper tonight, all of us. So I'm loving that. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like I should smile less, so I look more like a ghost, but I can't help it.
Ghosts are also happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump right into it here, and let's just talk about that Sioux Falls Curious Music Collective first. Fill me in. What is the history with this group, and what's the repertoire of events and other items that you guys do?
So, well, I am a classically trained musician, so I play viola and violin. I'm the viola principal in the South Dakota Symphony Orchestra, but like I think I just love collaborating with people, like doing like collaborations in like creative projects. So as I started my nonprofit, I don't know, I became a lot more theatrical and more story oriented. So that's how I met Lawrence, and he's a writer and also an artist. In case there's any audience who's from Roslyn, South Dakota, he's the vinegar guy there.
Okay.
He owns the vinegar museum there, and so he travels back and forth. And then so I think we want to take our program, because like classical music, when people think about it, it's like, oh, it's pretty uptight. It's up there, and you need to wear your tuxedo to, for your cocktail party or something. And for me, it's more fun because, like, I mean, this is just my tool, and I want to use my tool to connect with more creative and fun people out there. I don't want to be
Mm,
limited to this, uptight genre. And that's
mm,
why we started doing a bunch of different projects, including we have projects with dancers, and with visual artists would be my big thing, my next goal, because as you can see, I love putting things on my face. And so like visual art, like I just think everything is helping us to tell a story. And I'm seeing the importance of like, I think everything eventually is like uplifting where we are as people, and to tell our story, and like including this Asian horror night. I love Asian horror story. I love horror stories in general, but since I'm Asian, so that's my first stop. Yeah, and so like thank you for inviting us. It means so much to me, and I'm so excited to take this horror series further, and I'm just so glad you're already doing it. Like you have your comics by night, and then now you are reading horror comics.
No, it
Yeah.
was when I kid you not, I almost fell out of my chair when I read your message. I was
Really?
this is amazing. And for someone like me, this is kind of special to me. Growing up, I was an Air Force brat, and so we actually
Oh,
lived in Japan for 5 years, and it was from
wow.
95 to 2000. And so whenever I see any presence of Asian culture in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, that to me is like, this is awesome. It's a great opportunity, and it just makes me think of that time, from 95 to
Right.
2000, and those were great times. And so
Yeah.
I am just so
Wow.
thankful that this opportunity exists. And I did lift it up to a couple of customers today, so you might actually be
Oh.
seeing me there. And maybe I'll just come
Ooh.
in my garb or something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But it sounds like a lot of fun. And thank you for a doors opening at 9 start time, because I get off at 8. So this is an event I can actually get to go to, because I often miss things.
Awesome.
So,
That's
so
great. No, it's
yeah, yeah,
amazing. Yes.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, let's talk really quick about violin. How long have you been
Okay.
playing?
So I have been playing the violin since I was 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in the elementary school.
Mm,
And then when I was doing my doctoral degree, I felt isolated. I think I was just really stressed. So a group of musicians approached me, and they say they needed a violist. So
mm,
I just kind of volunteered myself. They were like, you can do it. They were encouraging. So I decided, okay, I will learn the viola. Viola is a little bigger. I mean, they kind of look exactly the same. It's just the strings are thicker, so
mm,
the sound are it's just a little lower. It's in between
mm,
the cello and the violin. It has this warm, mellow tone. Not mellow, I shouldn't say mellow, but warm tone.
mm,
So yeah, so I've been playing the string instrument for all my life, and
mm.
I think I'm going through my, maybe like reliving my teenage years. Like I feel like I've spent so much time in school. Now it's my time. I get to do what I want to do. So
That's
that's
right.
why with this kind of project. And Lawrence, actually, I was just thinking. So you lived in Japan for 5 years, right?
Mm, mm.
Lawrence also lived there for quite a while. Are
Yay!
you like? Do you guys speak Japanese?
I don't, unfortunately. I wish I did. I would love to learn. Both writing and just speaking would be very nice. So that is something that I would like to do, because I think that it's a very
Nice.
cool language, and it's just such a cool place. So cool. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Oh, this makes me
Yeah,
so
yeah.
happy now. Yes.
And I'm from Taiwan, so like I don't
Mm,
speak Japanese, but my
mm,
grandpa got used to because Japan kind of occupied Taiwan for quite a while, and
Mhm.
then and so there's this history there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So circling back to Sioux Falls Curious Music Collective, how
Yeah.
many members are there in the organization?
So I'm the founder, and
Mhm.
as we are still growing,
Mhm.
I there's no set like group of, it's not like a band. So like each time for different project, I'm inviting different artists and musicians and writers or dancers to work with me. So it's a little fluid.
Mhm.
Um, like I usually people will approach me if they have ideas. Then of course I'll start looking for money for budget, and then we'll figure out if we could put it together. So it's more like I treat it more like a platform to invite people to, like, if they have creative ideas, if they want to do stuff, and then we kind of get together and figure things out. And that's how I enjoy. I've been enjoying approaching people this way because I feel it's more fun. It's not like these group of people and then they just do their own thing, all the time. It's more like we can invite special people if we need special extra elements in certain project.
No, that's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Lawrence, let's put the spotlight on you here. I just want to hear from your perspective. With what we discussed before the camera started rolling and our sound check and everything, you are the storyteller for the group. What has this process been like for you in terms of building this program and executing it?
Well, it's been very exciting, really, to be able to create something that goes across what we think of as cultural lines. I think of them as imaginary lines, but to bring something to the people who live here, to help them, for example, to see that um, Asian culture is something more than food and kung fu. To be able to say, hey, there are all these different facets. And one of the facets is Asian horror stories. And many kids grow up with these stories. My post-teen years, uh, these were the stories I knew. Uh, I didn't see the movies that most American kids saw. I saw movies like in Chinatown and Japantown because that's where my feet were, and those were where my friends were and the people that I interacted with. So a lot of these stories, either from the movies or the old people talking about them, these were the stories that I heard. And now looking at the stories for our purposes caused me to look at stories that I either forgotten or didn't kind of half heard, and there were so many that I never heard, you know. So this has been a kind of opportunity for me to look deeper into that and also to reflect on it, which is what I hope that people will do as they hear these stories. We can have it will catalyze or stimulate some discussions about looking at our lives different, much the same as horror stories in in our English versions. And we have horror stories, and those stories are while they can be entertaining, they also carry with them the possibility of looking at life different because we look at the things that we look away from because we don't understand them and they scare us. But the horror stories allow us to look into the eyes of those stories. It also allows us to explore what could be and not be limited to the 4 or 5 things that we know or we've come to become comfortable with. So I think that is part of expanding the human experience.
That's awesome,
Mhm.
man. And then Lawrence, another question for you is this: have you done other projects with the Curious Music Collective prior to this one?
Yes, but we just changed our name. We were Uplifting
Okay.
Voices of Unity, and I write poetry. I'm on
Mm.
the board of the South Dakota State Poetry Society, and
Hmm.
I actually do workshops around the state because I'm an artist in residence for the state, and so I do stuff with kids, and we have, so I do a number of things with poetry.
Hmm.
I even have a poetry group up at the prison, so I work with some guys in the pen with with this with poetry, and so working with the collective now gives me another avenue, and it gives me an avenue to work with other professional musicians and people who take their craft seriously, and it allows us to create something that we none of us could do by ourselves, but together we can create something different and unique for our area.
Hmm.
And I think this is a very important thing to do because a lot of times when you live in places that don't have a lot of interaction with the rest of the world, you can become culturally imprisoned, and it's kind of the old black swan thing. You don't know what you don't know. And so by giving people something that they're completely a surprise or completely different, or something that's a little bit different even, that allows them to like think, oh, maybe if I hadn't seen that, maybe there's something more, you know. So I'm hoping that this experience with the collective can can catalyze or stimulate a wider thinking about what could be. And if we can think what could differently about what could be about music and poetry ideas and putting things together, perhaps we can realize that there's so much more that
Hmm.
we're not thinking about, and encourage people to try different kinds of art, different kinds of food, different hobbies, uh, different people that they can include in their lives, to go around to different churches and different places. Just pop into all of the different. There's so many things happening in Sioux Falls, but they're all in small little nodes. You know, like I belong to a kind of a rock hound club that's in Sioux Falls. Now there's about 30 people who maybe show up, but there's a lot more people in Sioux Falls, even not to mention the whole of South Dakota, that don't even know that this exists,
Hmm.
but would be interested if they did know it exists.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping that this kind of experience will get people to thinking, oh, how much am I missing because I stay in this one little hole and keep saying, oh, Sioux Falls is boring. Sioux
Hmm.
Falls isn't boring. South Dakota isn't boring. You're boring
Hmm.
because you don't do anything. You
Hmm.
don't get you know.
Hmm. No, gosh, yeah. Again, I am just so thrilled about what you guys are doing, and thank you for just bringing this exciting offering. For me, I am over the moon. Whoa, we have a very
Oh,
nice comment here. Mr. James is in the building. Your
oh,
performance at the Wapas Sidewalk
oh,
Arts
sidewalk.
Festival was such a highlight for our family. And you were also so generous. We are so excited to see what you bring to the arts and culture landscape.
Great,
Oh, thank you
great.
so much,
Yeah, thank you.
James.
James, that is
That's
awesome. I'm glad
amazing.
you guys had a good
Yeah.
time.
At the sidewalk arts,
Yeah.
we were really impressed with the kids. Not, I mean,
Mm,
adults were doing great, but the
Hmm.
kids that were sitting right in front of us and they
Hmm.
wanted to know.
mm.
And so I was telling Lawrence, like, I mean, there's, I think, a sentence at the end of the story. You say, like, and then he died or something like that. And they were like so happy. I
What?
don't know, seeing their smiley faces. It was quite interesting. But yeah, we would definitely feel so
Mm,
much support while we were performing at the Sidewalk Arts Festival.
mm,
So I,
That's
I, I
awesome.
think there are fun people out there. It's just like we have to find a way to reach to them. Yeah.
mm, mm, mm.
That's awesome. Um, so let's talk about the event coming up here, and this is a very very cool thing. So we it looks like we are going to be hanging out at Dada's Gastropub
Yes.
this Saturday, the 21st of October. Doors are opening at 9 p.m.
Right.
And then show will start at 9:30 and goes for about an hour long. Is that correct?
Right.
Right.
Correct.
But get there at 8 or before, because we plan to start at 9:30, and then everybody should be seated and ready to, enjoy the performance and not sort of moving around and
Yeah.
making sure your nose hairs are straight or anything like that.
Right. Yeah,
You
the
should be
door
ready
will
to go.
open and yeah, they need to be ready to go. We also need to be ready to go.
Mm.
The door
Right.
opens at 9. I think before that they might let people in, but it depends on how busy the dinner crowd is. Because I
Mm.
know people be eating dinner before that time. So definitely get there by 9, and then so we can quickly seat everyone.
That's
And
awesome.
each ticket includes 2 spooky snacks and 1 spooky drink, which can be non-alcoholic. So like it can be just a mocktail. So it'll be fun, and it's like 1 hour long. There will be music and then some stories and then more music and some more stories, and the music and story are kind of intertwined. But hopefully we will be able to maintain this spooky vibe throughout.
Hey, based on what I got to hear before we rolled the cameras and based on what we will be hearing before the stream is done, I am all about this.
Awesome.
Before we get to that, I wanted to kind of understand a little bit more about the event itself. And so just kind of putting us in your guys' shoes, when you guys do an hour-long set of music and storytelling and just coordinating with one another, how long did it take to craft this?
All our lives.
Lawrence,
Because
you
all
wanna
of us,
go first?
yeah, I think all of our lives, because all of the things you have to do to be able to see the possibilities, tweak this stuff. If you look at that, I was in radio for years. That was my first career out of high school. And all of that, even before that, I was on stagecraft in high school. I was on the stage crew for 3 years, and working with sound companies and working in radio and TV and even a couple of movie sets. All of those kind of experiences, in bands and all the different all of those things come into play. And then, so you have all of those tools and all that toolbox and all of those experiences. And so when someone says, hey, we would like to do, something with, Asian horror stories, for example, well, then it's not just like you can't start from scratch. You have to start from, you look at the toolbox you have. And fortunately, in this case, I knew where to go. And I had, I have friends, I have books, I have all kinds of things. Then it's just a matter of looking at the smorgasbord and saying, which things do I want to use? Looking at your toolbox. So crafting from that point of view, I think we worked on this for 3 or 4 months. It seemed like, from the
I
time
think we've been
we
talking
decided to
about
do it.
this for a couple of months, and then
Yeah,
when it comes to the execution part, I think
right.
because usually we need, so we will talk about ideas, and so you could form an outline of like what this program is gonna look like with the stories, and then I could start figuring out the music part, and the music usually for, I guess, like for concert is kind of straightforward, right? For this one it's a little more interactive, so I kind of I've warned my musicians and they probably didn't know what they were walking into. I hope they don't regret it. But it's more like I would select several different pieces of music, but so we do have complete pieces of music that we will perform, but at the same time during the storytelling part, everybody had to follow the script, and we have to be familiar with where Lawrence is at, and so we could react with music and sound at the right time. So it becomes like a sound lab on stage for us. And I was so stressed out about this because like
Mhm.
to be honest, I love stories, but believe it or not, when I listen to a song, usually it would take me a long time to figure out the lyrics, what lyrics people are saying. I don't know. There's a disconnect in my brain somehow. I can only hear like the pitches and the music part of things, but the words just escape my brain. So
Mhm.
I had to work really hard to make sure I follow what the script, and so I could, so it a lot of it is a little improvisatory during the
Mhm.
story, while I did plan out, where the musical pieces examples will be played.
Mhm.
So it's like a hybrid of a normal performance with sound lab going on at the same time.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like
Mhm.
this is actually my first time doing this type of more interactive, story with sound kind of thing. So it's been fun for me after the most stressful period of time. Now it's more fun.
That's
Mhm.
awesome. Well,
Yeah.
before we get to this, we're going to see this process on the stream, you guys. So I hope you guys are buckled in. But before we get to that, I did just want to ask one final question just about this event coming up. What has been the absolute most favorite part of this whole process for you guys? And what's
Yeah.
been the most challenging?
Lawrence, do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Sure, sure. I think the thing that's been the most fun is working with the musicians and seeing other people give their take on how to, let's say, emphasize or embellish the script. Okay, so you come up with a script and you say, "Hey, here's the format. Here's the baseline. This is the arc of the story. Here are some high points and low points of the story." You know, to understand like where the story is coming from and where it is and where it's going, and to have people to try to say, okay, how would I express that with an instrument that I'm very familiar with, but suddenly I needed to do something that I didn't even know could or should or would be done.
Mhm.
How will I, so working with people who actually just being in a room with people who are not afraid
Mhm.
to go there, that is very encouraging to me, because when people can not be afraid to do that, it means that they're open to other new life experiences, and it grows exponentially. Once you can cross a certain threshold,
Mhm.
your brain actually starts to see things that you didn't see before, because it starts to operate in a different way. Once you get over that kind of uneasiness about, well, I've never been there before, so I don't know if I should go there. Once you get past that, you will see opportunities, and you will see roads and pathways that you didn't know existed. And then when you follow some of those pathways, then you will become a different person. So that's been an exciting thing. As far as the challenge, I think the challenge is kind of like in very much the same way. The challenge for me is, how do I keep my own uh, juices flowing? How do I start to look into, like, okay, how I don't play that instrument, but what would I what could I imagine a sound could be like? And then how do I change what I'm doing with the script
Mhm.
to work with the musicians? Do I go slower? Do I go faster? How do we make this thing? How do we become one as a unit?
Mhm.
So that they feed off me, I feed off them, and our ideas go back and forth, and we're not only working with each other, but we're learning from each other. Every time I go to a rehearsal or work with them, or talk with each other about what we're doing, I learned something different, not only about her, but I learned something different about how she sees music, how she experiences music, and how she makes music.
Mhm.
So that enhances my ability, not just in this particular project, but in my interactions with all the rest of the people that I come in contact with. So this is a growth process for me. So
Yeah.
I hope
The
that
same
answered your
thing for
question.
me. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a definitely a growing process for me, and I think I'm still at the bottom, at the very beginning stage of learning this process, but I know it's gonna be exciting, and there's just a lot more coordination. So that's why I say I became like I feel becomes more like a more the kind of theatrical kind of production with sound and words and stuff. And I think that is the challenge. Like
Mhm.
how do we find the right sound? Right now, there's so much more I want to do to improve that part still. Like, like how do we make the right sound, or can we find the right sound, and how can we use, different software and stuff. That's all kind of a little more new to me. And I know,
Mhm.
for people who are making film music, or they're making like sound, they're sound engineers, and it
Mhm.
basically becomes in this genre of like sound engineers. But at the same time, since I just love music so much, so like, kind of combining the performing part of it into this mix, and that is what I'm more familiar with. So like I'm learning both parts, like how do I, marry two elements in one, while at the same time being able to, be spontaneous and react to Lawrence's, because every time you emphasize different words or different things, depending on the on the occasion and how you are feeling that night, then you be slightly different every time. So I would say like this is kind of just the beginning, and because our program is only 1 hour long,
Mhm.
it was really hard for us to choose stories, because like right now there are so many different Asian cultures,
Mhm.
and right now we are choosing. We're not gonna say what we're gonna do, but we are choosing the ones that are a little more like pop, in the mainstream.
Mhm.
um but there are also others that are in the mainstream, just we don't have time to cover those. That is why I'm gonna ask the audience here, like I mean, for the people who love horror stories, if you have one you love, let us know. Just let
Mhm.
us know. Like we have a lot of our favorites, but I think we are gonna continue this horror series, and there's just so many stories I love. And just in case people don't know, like in the past 2 months, I think in usually in July, the end of summer, that's like the ghost month. Those are
Mhm.
the ghost months for Taiwanese people, and a lot of, I think, in Chinese culture as well. So we think the gate of the underworld was
Mhm.
open for those 2 months. And so like the two worlds are mixing, and people see a lot more ghosts on the street. And that's why I've been listening to ghost stories since the summer. And I just think it's so great. And I started learning so much about different culture, and also the similarities between, for example, this stories we're gonna give people a little taste of things. This
Mhm.
ghost also happens to be in a different culture, but it's called with a different name.
Mhm.
So that is, yeah, I just think we're gonna keep it going, and maybe we can be back if you are, you want to know more about other kind of horrors, Asian horror
Heck yeah.
stories. Yeah.
You know, I think it's worth saying too that one element that we don't have in this
Mm-hmm.
particular iteration, but we do have
Right.
normally is dancers. We
Mhm.
used to have
Oh
dancers,
yeah.
but in, but in
Yeah.
this case, I think it was a matter really of the stage too. At this place,
Right.
it
Right.
really wasn't
Yeah.
conducive to dancers, so we
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
didn't bring dancers. But in our other stages, we have had
Yeah.
we've had dancers to and part of the charm of this whole project
Yeah.
is that we have all of these different art forms work coming together to create something that none of them could create by themselves. And I think that's
Right.
that's sort of like a parallel to our human experience. All of us together can always create more and do more than any one of us can by ourselves. In fact, by ourselves, we don't do anything really. So
Right.
we always have to have other people, and we even the people we don't know that make the bread that
Mhm.
we eat. They get up in the morning, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and make bread, and we just go and get it. But somebody had to make that bread. It's not just because you have money, the bread appears. You know,
Yeah.
there's a whole
Yeah, and
process. There's a whole mechanism. You know.
Mm, mm,
right. And actually this is so important. Like I think that's why, like, with how like Lawrence and I, we have this uplifting, project going on, and this is part of it. I think it's just everything is kind of like we are experimenting with different art forms, and and also we're experimenting, like kind of like introducing people with different like music from different cultures as well. And I think that the key, I guess the essence of why, like, I feel like it's important to keep the Curious Music Collective going is because like, we all need each other. And I just by, introducing different elements to people's lives, even if it's just a tune from a different culture, or different elements, or I dress up, I don't care, I can be a little crazy looking, it's okay. We can be fine, we can be different, but it's great to be different. And so I think that kind of concept is driving us to do so many different projects.
mm,
And I think that's so important because I mean I strongly believe that everybody has an artist inside them, and it just like what kind of art form kind of is drawn to you, like you feel like the most drawn to,
mm.
and that is important to kind of nourish that part. For me it's definitely music, and now like horror stories as well. We just find those cool elements that that kind of define us and that make us better, and
Mm.
and then we will feel okay to be ourselves, and things it's hard to not feel lonely, I guess, like because I mean I'm an immigrant, so I had to relearn all this, like how to interact with people, what is normal and what's not normal. But it's actually, it was a great practice for me, and I just wanna, I think you use this chance, even though I'm a musician, so like this is my tool again. Music is my tool, and then I think music and arts just create a safe space for everyone. Like
Mhm.
we can talk about things, we can we can try and learn each other, like what other people are like that different, and it's okay. Yeah.
Mm, mm.
Mm.
Well, that is awesome. And I've got to say, I have been loving everything about this visit. Even before the camera started rolling, you guys, I was
Same
like
here.
at a 12 out of 10 with these two. They were like, whoa, John, chill. But I suppose we should probably, show them what we're all about here this evening. So, Lawrence, are you feeling ready to rock and roll?
I think I am. That's
All right.
that's the rumor that's going around anyway.
He's not falling asleep.
No, that's a thing.
All right. Well, we're gonna, you guys, for those of you that are tuning in live and those on the replay, we are going to let you kind of witness what a story all entails. So here we go.
There was an old man who was a merchant from the Kobayashi district. One night, when it was quite late, he was hurrying home. There was a very tall hill that was a short way to his home, but people rarely went that way because strange things were said to happen on that hill. Suddenly, he saw a young girl sitting next to the river. She had long flowing hair and a rather nice clothes. The young girl seemed to be crying, so he thought he should stop and console her. When he approached her, and asked what was the matter, the girl did not answer but wept even harder. "Young lady," he implored, "what's the matter? Please don't cry. Tell me your problem and I will try to help you." At that moment she stood up and lowered her sleeve. The old man shrieked in horror. The girl had no ears, no eyes, no nose or mouth, just a blank face. He took off running blindly up the hill. Everything turned black, but he kept running mindlessly until he saw a lantern in the distance. When he arrived at the lantern, he could see that it was next to a small cart with a man selling noodles. Noticing the terrified look on the old man's face, the noodle seller asked him what had him so terrified. "Was it robbers?" he asked. "No," said the old man. "It was too terrifying to describe." "Did it look like this?" asked the old noodle seller as he revealed his featureless face. Everything went black.
That was awesome, you guys. I love that. Yay! That is so. Oh gosh, yeah, Lawrence. I bet you just have so much fun with these when
Oh,
you're
yeah.
helping them.
Oh, of course. This is my peeps, you know.
Hey, that is awesome.
Visiting with the dead.
So, from your experience at Sidewalk Arts Festival, what do you anticipate will be maybe some differences for the program itself coming up on Saturday night?
Well, we will have. You want to talk about that, Ichan?
Oh, quickly, I think the stories are going to be slightly. They're going to be longer.
Mm-hmm.
And different.
Story
We have different stories.
and different. Yeah, there will be different stories. And then I think the sound part is a little more coordinated. And so there'll be more. I think I think the audience will be able to tell. There's just a lot more musical pieces moving around compared to the Sidewalk Arts. And at the space at Dada Gastropub, hopefully we can, all the sound can be heard. So that would be quite different, instead of, because like at the Sidewalk Arts, it was a little hard for us to hear each other just because of all the street noises. And yeah, so it will be hopefully it'll be better. But,
yeah. Well, I think one way we can look at it is the show in a contained and controlled environment will allow us to have better production, and that better production will make for a more enjoyable experience. There won't be the distraction of planes. Well, you never know about planes.
Yes.
but you won't have, like you won't have a lot of people like walking by, and also people who come to that performance. Whereas in the Sidewalk festival, people are just sort of walking by and they say, "Oh," and they come in the middle of it, and they get like, the story has gone halfway through, and they stop and they see, well, what's going on here, and they get in the middle of the story. Well, of course, unless you were there's no continuity to the story. You have no idea, and it's what is that? Even though you might have some idea, oh, it's an Asian horror story and there's some music or something. But when people are paying more attention to their ice cream cone than what you've been doing, it's a whole different experience. Is one way to say it. It's about the same thing, but the production level will be quite better, much better.
Right.
I do have
Yeah.
to say though, based on that nice comment from Mr. James earlier, it sounds like you guys absolutely rocked it and crushed it during your time at the
Thank
Sidewalks
you.
Arts Festival. So
Yeah,
kudos.
Yeah.
but yeah,
Thank
the
you.
people who stopped and like even that because we did a few we had a few performances and we had a few different stories that we told. So
Mm.
if they heard one complete story, then they had a whole different experience than the people who walked by, stood there for 30 seconds or a minute, and then kept walking.
Mm.
They would have
Right.
it's a whole different experience because stories have
Right.
arcs, they have beginnings, middles, ends, and that kind of thing.
Mm.
And if you don't get that, it can just seem like, what? you know. I mean, at least my life is like that anyway,
Mm.
when I come in the middle of something,
Mhm.
it's, you have to make it up. At any rate, uh,
Yeah.
I expect it to be a much more exciting and focused presentation.
Awesome.
Right. And
Well,
don't be discouraged if like, your favorite story is not there. Again,
Oh
we are
yeah,
gonna continue with this. And we're gonna introduce more horror stories from different cultures. And
Mhm.
so just don't, just keep coming back and then like you talk
Yeah,
to us.
right. And also,
Mm.
it's even if you don't hear your stories come with a beginner's mind, you'll hear new stories, and they may
Yeah.
become your favorite stories.
mm,
And
Right.
it's like maybe it didn't come from your culture, but I bet you, especially within the Asian genre,
Mm-hmm.
if you hear a story and let's say you're from Malaysia and you hear
Mm-hmm.
a story and we presented the Chinese version, there's a good chance that
Mm-hmm.
there's a version of that story in Malaysian stories too, because of their relationship to Singapore and
Mm-hmm.
and how those stories cross over cultures when they're interacting with each other, and they borrow from each other. So none of those stories are pure Chinese or
mm,
pure Japanese.
mm,
There are no purebreds in the world, and there are no purebred stories.
mm,
You know,
mm.
Mm-hmm.
they all have some crossover and some elements. Yeah, that's the nature of things. So come and
Yeah.
enjoy with a beginner's mind.
So
Absolutely.
can I ask John, what
Yes.
why do you like Asian horror? Because like I'm always curious what people think of Asian horror and
Mhm.
like how you get drawn to it.
So for me, my experience with it is surprisingly a little more limited. So I did live there for 5 years. I was fifth grade through freshman year of high school, and this was a
Oh.
time of I was listening to my CD Discman a lot. So it was the TLC fan mail album and Beastie Boys Intergalactic, which was filmed in a
Nice.
Japanese subway, which was really cool.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Mhm.
and Britney Spears, "Oops, I Did It Again."
Yeah.
The now that's what I call pop. That was the kind of music I was into. Um,
Nice.
I did tune in to watch. I absolutely adored like Transformers in Japanese because they had
Mm-hmm.
seasons and episodes that weren't airing in America, and so for me it was all new, and I couldn't understand a lick of it, and I had the best time of my life.
Right,
Um,
right.
when it comes to actual horror from Japan, my experience is pretty much right up there with anyone that has watched any themed movie maybe
Mm-hmm.
in the cinema. I have not read a lot of manga or anything. My journey
Mm-hmm.
on this particular stream that we're on here is actually just beginning. You are my third episode.
Mm-hmm.
um, and
Ooh.
and with that, all of these horror comics that I've been collecting, I just reviewed two on my first episode from 1969, which is a
Mm-hmm.
crazy chunk of time because the dialogue's different, the ads are different, and everything. And that's why I'm doing it, is I want to, understand the history and the medium of that. So the point of my stream is that I don't know everything. I'm a humble student. And that's why I love connecting with folks like you guys that have
That's awesome.
experiences in different corners of the world, and in the genre, because it makes it that much more special to me.
Awesome. Yeah, same here. I feel like a
Mm,
beginner doing this type of interactive concert with the Asian horror stories.
mm,
So yeah, no, I love the psychological horror part of you know, horror side of things, and I think it's just a lot of it, and if I'm sure we can find another time to go deeper into it, and like we can maybe prepare some stories and we can just talk about them, and yeah.
I am so excited though for the show, and so I do plan on being there on Saturday. And
Thank you.
To your point, Lawrence, I indeed will be there with a very student mindset of coming just to soak it up, and I throwing music on top of it. I was a band band nerd in college. I went to Augie and I was in the band playing tuba and trombone. I admire anyone that can do strings. I cannot. Give me a brass instrument, we're set.
Awesome.
So, but
that's hard to play.
it can be, but strings is just a skill I never got, and I just think that anyone that does it is just the coolest person ever. Like for guitars, for viola, violin, stand-up bass, etc. And I wish I had that skill set because it is a neat thing. So
okay. Quite different. Like I feel like all the horror, like more sentimental and creepy stuff, there will be a very sad violin in the soundtrack or something. Yeah, like the string just has this like melancholy quality. Yeah.
But yes, I am so excited, and for everybody that is tuning in, definitely check this event out, you guys. When I saw it on Facebook, when I got that message, I was just fell out of my chair almost. I was like, this is amazing. It's here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. What a cool opportunity for our area.
Yeah. Right. And then we will be doing more. I think our next one, which will include some dancers, that'll be next February. So just stay tuned. I need to update the information, but just so people know.
Yeah. Well, and that was going to be my next question is, we have this event coming up on Saturday, and then we're talking about maybe continuing this on to 2024 for the spooky stuff. But do you guys have other programming lined up for the rest of the year, different themed pieces or different groups that you're putting together? What does all that look like?
Yeah. So on the side, we have an educational project going on, which we go to the LSS Summit Oaks Youth Center. That's a psychiatric treatment center. We bring poetry and music to basically help them express themselves through music and words. And we are continuing that with that educational project, and we hope to take that more places. And actually this horror program, we're gonna definitely bring some of it to the kids. Of course, we're gonna make sure it's not gonna be gross, and it'll be appropriate. But that, I think for this horror series, we are certainly continuing, and we're actually looking for venues, like if there are hosts and places that are that welcome this type of shows. We are gonna start planning and kind of reserving times and dates. And on the side, for the performing side of things, we do have I think it's a Latin American program that will take place next April. I know everything seems so far away, but as I'm kind of a slacker, I just so much. I just feel like I can't multitask. I have to put my energy into one thing at a time. That's why I always run out of time. But we are always curious. We are always trying to provide different type of music and elements that people are they're fun to us, but at the same time we invite musicians or artists from out of town sometimes. For the Latin American one, there'll be photography kind of paired up with the music. So, and it will happen at Augie. And so that'll be next year. And in February, we will do this horror program again with different stories and with dancers. So there'll be more. And and as we are like right now, our organization is going through like rebranding. We used to be called Super Chamber Music Collective. Now we are the Curious Music Collective. And so there's a lot of like little details we're trying to clean up at the moment. That's why we kind of slow down a little bit, but we are trying to push for more things to happen, possibly in the summer into the next season, which will be next fall. So it's never too late to talk about next Halloween. And to me and Laura, like we think we can do horror stories every night. Like it doesn't have to be Halloween. It can be whenever you want. Whenever you want to hear it, whenever you want to see our horror music program, we'll be there.
Right. And I think that is one of the things that we're working on now that we have started in this journey. There are many stories to be told, and we are our stories. And so the more we can bring stories and more we can get people to interact, and the more we can have events where people who would otherwise not come together find something that they have in common and come to see that thing. And then there's always a chance that those people might have a conversation that they never would have had before. And then they can strike up friendships that are based on some other node in their life, some other thing that they appreciate, and find themselves walking across those invisible imaginary lines that tend to separate us as human beings. We find something we haven't. So this is a tool for that, and we enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you guys are so lovely, and this has been just the best visit ever. So thank you guys again so much.
Thank you
for coming on the show. When you guys were like, "Yes, we'll come on," I'm like, like this is so excited.
Of course, you guys seem like the coolest people too.
That's right.
But no, I'm really looking forward to getting to say hi to you guys in person this weekend. And just thank you guys again for this really neat offering, and what a cool time of the year. And you know, I'm glad that this brought us together. I am so excited, and you know, I've lifted up to a couple of customers and a couple of friends, so I'll bring a couple of folks along with me and come check it out. So
definitely let us know afterwards. Like we'll stay in touch. Like I love people's feedback, because like you know, how do you feel about this and that, and we can always tweak things next time.
And that's how we grow. That's how we make a new show and better shows, is getting the audience feedback, and
not the nice feedback, but the blunt feedback.
The objective. You know, it's like we don't need a mutual admiration society. Just, you know, it's like when we get useful feedback, you know, things like, just like when you go to an art thing, you say, well, what did you think? Oh, that's nice. It doesn't say anything, you know. It's like, well, I like the reds, and I like the way the reds, you know, like shade with the blue, or I like the way it made me feel. Tell us something. News we can use, you know. Tell us something about how it made you feel, how it changed your life, what it did for you, and then we can take that, and then we can say, okay, look, if we're getting this kind of feedback, one person, that's interesting. Two people, we start to see a pattern. We get 3 or 4 people saying similar things. We say, oh yeah, well, that's a thing. Let's see, what could we do with that? You know, and then from there we can create new stuff that will bring more people together.
Heck yeah. Well, awesome. Well, that was all the questions I had tonight, and you guys were just amazing guests. So thank you again for putting up with me and all my technology hurdles. Holy smokes tonight.
Oh, that's fine.
And we'll be on, by the way, we'll be on Kello in the morning.
Oh, there you go. What time? Do you know?
At least we think it's going to be. We will be recording it. We'll be in their studios doing it. We don't know when to put it on.
When it'll be aired.
We think it's,
I'm not sure if it's live.
Are you guys going to do another live story and stuff?
We'll probably do the same story.
We
we'll probably do the same story.
One, but I will play a little more.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, I love seeing that, and this is something that deserves to be lifted up. And so thank you guys again. But yeah, my final question is just making sure that people have the ability to connect with you. So everyone that's tuning in or catching the replay, we have the logo, and this is the current logo, but it might be changing coming up with the rebrand.
Yeah.
Where can people connect with your group and with you online?
Well, they can just go to I mean, we have Facebook, Instagram, website. So they can email us. If you look up Sioux Falls Curious Music Collective, you should be able to find us. And then you can also email us at sfcmcollective@gmail.com, or just message
Can you
us.
say that? Can you say that again slower, so they, in case they're trying to write it down?
sfcmcollective@gmail.com. Yeah, it's a little long, so we might change it as well in the future. Everything is changing, but yeah. So and do let us know what you think about if you come to our show. Always let us know your feedback, and feel free to, if you want to chat, just like shoot us a message, and it might be me responding to you. A lot of times me responding. So now you know what I look like. So, yeah, and I think it'd be fun.
Absolutely. No, this has been an outstanding visit, though, you guys. Thank you both again so much for your time tonight, and I hope that Kelloland is just a lot of fun for you to further tell that story. You guys, if you guys are tuning in late, I highly encourage you to watch the rest of this interview. Check out the replay. It's going to be available on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, or X now, whatever, whatever platform your heart desires. And if you have any questions about the event, definitely reach out to either Sioux Falls CMC Elective, Sioux Falls Curious Music Collective, or you can reach out to me, and I'm happy to field any questions as well, since I have that event on speed dial because I'm so excited about it. Regarding ticketing as well, this is mainly for me. Is it wise to just go and buy it in advance? We're not doing tickets at the door. Is that correct?
Right now, we are reaching our limit. I mean, it's getting closer. So I know they told us that the venue will be comfortably, seating 50 people. So if I would say, if people want to get a ticket, get it soon, because I might need to close the online ticket link sometime later tomorrow, which is Friday.
And because they're going to have snacks, they need to have a way to plan for how much food they need. They need to know, how much food they're preparing. So, so each ticket includes, I already told you, 2 snacks, 1 drink. And so it will be more like a after dinner kind of like late night snack kind of thing with horror story and music.
Yeah, well, very good. Well, thank you guys again so much for your time this evening.
Thank you so much.
And I am I am pumped for this weekend and to meet you guys, and I'll beg you guys to see if we can get a selfie together. I am really excited to see this all come together and to see all of your hard work just flourish on there. So
thank you so much for having us.
Of course. Well, I'm gonna roll the outro video here, and then we'll wrap up off camera. Thank you guys all for tuning in tonight, and here it comes.
Who that you?